Hello everyone, my name is Kritika Baheti and today we are going to study about the third geography chapter, which is climate, soil, natural vegetation and animals of Karnataka. So in this chapter there are few pointers which we are going to study. The first pointer is what are the main features of the climate of Karnataka, means like what are the climatic things which you can go ahead and see in Karnataka and what are the various things you can find. After that you will be able to go ahead and see and understand the various changes in the climate as regard to what are the various different changes of different locations and what are the climate over there. Then we'll understand the distribution of rainfall in Karnataka, like how the rainfall occurs, wherein in which all places the rain is high and in which all places the rain is low. Then the distribution of soil that happens, area to area, the soil and the type of and varieties differ. So what are those? Then comes the type and distribution of natural vegetations and animal of Karnataka. In which location, which kind of vegetation is found, and what are the animals we can find where and in which part of Karnataka. So let us first start with the first topic, which is known as the climate. Karnataka typically has a monsoon climate. Monsoon being a monsoon climate, the main characteristic of this climate are hot and moist. Means the temperature overall is generally hot and moist means it contains water vapor. And that is the time which is during the summer season. And when it comes to the winter season, it is quite cold and the weather is quite dry. Then when it comes to, this is the total area about the location thing, like the climate as regard to briefly about it, like what is a typical brief about it. Apart from this hot and cold region, overall for Karnataka there is a very distinct or a great influence or a differentiation between the climate of the state. Some places it is dry, some places it is hot. Now, why is this possible, or why is such an variation in the climatic condition? Is because of the geographical location. Like as we have studied in the second chapter, Karnataka has been divided by three big regions, that is the Medan region, the mountain region, and the coastal region. Because of the geographical location and the influence of oceans and various other physical features, the climate changes. This not just influence the climate but also influence the vegetation and the monsoon winds. Hence, the annual temperature and distribution of rain occurs, which generally falls in various places, varies from one part of the state to the another part of the state. Climatic season. We can classify the climatic season of Karnataka over a period of 1 year. Say for an example, if we take up the whole season of Karnataka for 1 year, it is distinctively divided into dif- four particular different periods. Like there are four different periods in which it has been divided. Now, broadly speaking, the four different seasons are the summer seasons that varies from March to May. Then comes the rainy season that starts from June till the September. After that comes the retrieving monsoon period that starts from October and November. And then comes the winter season that is from December to February. Summer seasons. During this season, it is very hot and dry, and the temperature over here could vary from 30 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius. After March, the temperatures rises uniformly, like equally across all the location in Karnataka, and it reaches its maximum during April and May. Raichur have recorded the highest temperature, which is 45.6 degrees Celsius, and it is the hottest place in Karnataka. The temperature is high even in other districts as well, which is into the northern Medan. In general, whole Karnataka experienced the climate to be very hot at this summer point of time. Also, the humidity, like the content of the water vapor in the air, is very low in the northern Medan area than in the southern Medan area. Now, in summers, due to great evaporation, rain-bearing clouds, the clouds that carries rain, are produced, and they bring a good amount of rainfall along with a lightning and thunder. Like these wind which bears water have gone ahead and given good water as well. The hailstone falls in some places, like there are too much of rainfall into some places. This generally takes place for a short period of time during the afternoon. Like say for an example, if you continue to have high temperature for 3-4 days, then for a short period of time there will be a rain like for a day or a half, and then again the temperature will be same hot. This generally takes place for a very short time. Since these showers enable the flowering of coffee plants, they are called cherry blossoms, because this is very much required and has been into a process for the plantation of coffee plants. So it is also a part of Karnataka's climate. And since they help the mango crops, they are also known as mango shower. Like to ripen the mangoes, this rain shower is very much important. About 7% of the annual rainfall of the state occurs during this season. Like the total rainfall which happens, the contribution for these showers are 7% that occurs during this time. After the summer season, as a lot of evaporation happens and because of the formation of the water clouds, then comes the rainy season. This is also known as the season of the southwest monsoon winds. Southwest monsoon winds are herein called for this particular season. The Western Ghats checks the moist leaden, means the heavy loaded clouds that starts flowing from the Arabian Sea towards the landforms and move towards the landmasses of India over to the Karnataka. The Arabian Sea results in heavy rainfall. As it moves eastward, the amount of rainfall get reduced. Like as soon as they keep moving, because the clouds are really heavy, they can't go ahead and move really long. So while the traveling is happening, they go ahead and shed a lot of water on Karnataka and the other parts as well, while they are moving towards the north. This is because the eastern Medan is in the rain shadow area. Because the eastern Medan or towards the end of Karnataka, the rainfall is a little lesser than as compared to the place which is nearer to the coastal or the Western Ghat area. The eastern Medan is in the rain shadow area. Agumbe is an area of heavy rainfall. It is one of place wherein the rainfall is in abundance. Hence, it is called the Cherrapunji of the South India. Cherrapunji is a place wherein India gets one of the maximum rain amount, or the volume of rain is very high. So this particular Agumbe region is known as the Cherrapunji of South India. Bhagamandala and Hulika are the other places wherein the rainfall is really heavy. So depending upon the location, now again the rainfall varies from place to place. As a result of it, relatively humid, like the places wherein the rain is really high, the humidity level is very high. There is cloudy atmosphere throughout the location during this season, and Karnataka receives about 80% of its rainfall. This helps in the cultivation of Kharifa crops. Means the crops that are associated with Kharifa are grown because of the way this rain has been distributed. The third comes the period of retrieving monsoon. This is also called the northeast monsoon season, means northeast wise the monsoon which comes. Due to the decrease in temperature and increase in pressure, like the temperature over here when it is decreased and the air pressure or the vacuum becomes more, the wind which is blowing from the northeast to the southeast, from the northeast of the location, it comes down to fill that vacuum and gets into the southwest. These winds are dry, they blow over the land. Now these winds are quite dry and they blow over the land. The winds which blow over the Bay of Bengal brings a little water, means while they are moving from or while they are moving over the Bay of Bengal, these dry winds go ahead and take up moisture and water vapor, and when they are filled with water vapor, they move back towards Karnataka and this lower region and shed some of the waters. This brings some rain to the southern Medan region. Besides, due to cyclone coming from the Bay of Bengal during the November and December also causes rain to this location. During this season, the state of Karnataka receives 12% of the total rainfall. This period is also known as the weather. This period is also called the weather condition are uncertain. Means here in the weather condition could be uncertain, like it could be dry in the morning and again it comes and it rains. So all these kind of things happen during this place or this point of time in the year. Now let us move to the fourth point, which is known as the winter season. During winter season, the temperature, humidity and rainfall, all of them are very low. The sky seems to be clear, like quite clear, and the average temperature ranges between 25 degrees Celsius to 27 degrees Celsius. January is the month which records the lowest temperature. We get a lot of tourists in that particular moment or in the state because the climate over here seems to be very pleasant. The minimum temperature recorded is 6.7 degrees Celsius, which is at the location of Belagavi. There are different other places as well into the northern districts where the temperature is down and are colder than the average temperature available. Only 1% of the total rainfall is received during this particular time, which is the winter time. There is a heavy fog, like the clouds, like when you're traveling and you're driving, you can see fogs on highways or in general roads, and in the early morning that occurs in the morning as well. And it's a very pleasant thing, but yes, it really becomes difficult at the time of traveling. Now, distribution of rainfall. The Malnad and coastal plains receive heavy rainfalls because they are towards the rain-bearing location or towards the coastal line, and the height are really high from the sea level. The eastern Medan are the areas which receives low rainfall because it is quite away from the water bodies. Often drought and flood occurs due to uneven and uncertain rainfall. If the rainfall is really high, it could occur to floods, and if the rainfall is low, dry could also happen. So depending upon the climatic condition and the rainfall, this was the brief about climate of Karnataka. Now let us go ahead and see about the soil of Karnataka. The top thin layer of the earth's surface is called the soil. The very fine mixture of sand which contains a lot of humidity, like humid, wherein cultivation happens and other kind of sources, that is a place, or that is the texture which is known as soil. Fertile soil is essential for agriculture. It is very important. There are different kinds of soils in Karnataka, and few of them or maybe it is broadly classified into four different categories: the red soil, the black soil, the laterite soil, and the coastal alluvial soil. Red soil. This type of soil is obtained from the weathering of granite, like the big mountain stone that is used that is used to make granite, and are really heavy, like due to the weathering of wind and due to rainfall, these breaks into pieces and touches the landform and forms a soil. There are different, then it contains iron oxide and hence it is red in color because of the high content of iron. It is also, it gets its color which is red and is also known as red soil. It is very rich in iron lime soil but contains small amount of humus that helps for the fertilization of or the fertility of the soil. It is very light when it comes to weight and has thin layer and is not very fertile, like it is not a very fertile soil. Its capacity for moisture retained to be less, like it cannot hold a lot of water. It is widely distributed in various regions of Karnataka and found more in the South Karnataka. Ragi, jawar, bajra, millet, pulses, tobacco, and groundnuts, which are really are which are few of the crops that are being grown in this particular texture of soil. Area with irrigation facilities can grow, like in case if you have nearby water bodies and have this soil, that can easily grow paddies, sugar canes, potato, vegetable, banana and other things with this soil formation. Red soil is found in various locations, in which few of them are Tumkur, Bengaluru, Ramnagar, Chikbellapur, Kolar, etc. Now let's come to the black soil. This kind of soil is formed by the weathering of basalt rocks. It is rich in aluminium, magnesium and oxide of iron. Hence, it is black in color because it has so many metallic contains as regard to aluminium, magnesium and oxygen. This is black in color. It is also called as black cotton soil because cotton is widely grown in this form of soil. It is also known as black cotton soil. This soil has the ability to retain moisture for many days. Like for many days, it can contain water. Since it is rich in soil nutrition, a variety of crops can be grown in this soil. For example, cotton, jawar, maize, sunflower, chili, paddy, pulses, and onion. This type of soil is extensively found in various districts of North Karnataka, which is also examples of these things are Dharwad, Bellary, Koppal, etc. Now we'll go to the third form of soil, which is known as laterite soil. This kind of soil is formed in area which receives heavy rainfall and has high temperature. The temperature of those areas are really high wherein you can get this kind of soil. Water soluble lime and silicates dissolved in rainwater settle down in the lower layer, like the rain which contains the chemicals as regard to silicate and lime are dissolved at the lower part of this soil, the lower layer of the soil. Iron and aluminium, which are non-soluble, remain on the top layer of the soil because they are non-renewable, so they take up the surface part. The soil becomes soft during rainy season and dries during the summer season, leading to the formation of laterite soils. This rock is used for construction purpose. Like these kind of soils and rocks are used for the constructions of buildings. However, when it comes to the cultivation part, we can go ahead and cultivate cashew, coffee, tea, cardamom, pepper, rubber, coconut and various other commercial crops are grown in this particular soil. Uttara Kannada, Udupi and various other districts are some of the examples wherein you can find this particular type of soil in abundance. Like the volume of this soil is very much in these areas. Coastal alluvial soil. As the name itself says, it is associated with the coastal belt. This type of soil is formed along the coastal dues to the deposition of alluvial and sediments carried by the river and sea waves. Like when the waves of the seas and ocean dashes towards the bank, whatever deposit of soil they have, that content and the minerals are associated together, and this kind of soil is formed. As it is associated with a lot of fertile things, this is a highly fertile soil. The coastal districts of Karnataka like Udupi, Dakshin Kannada and Uttar Kannada have this type of soil. This soil consists of sand and clay, and it is very rich in organic nutrients. Paddy, cashew, coconut, banana, etc. are grown very well in this particular type of soil. Now let us discuss about the natural vegetation. Natural vegetation means in which all places we are able to go ahead, what kind of vegetations, like what is grown where. The various kinds of plants and trees growing naturally are referred to as natural vegetation. Karnataka has a rich diversity of plant species. Like you can get a lot of plants, a lot of variety of crops, animals, and all, sorry, a variety of species into this location. The trees, the plant species plays an important role in preventing the ecological balance. To keep the balance of ecology or the environment proper, these plants play a very important role. Tree provides timber, firewood, raw materials for industries, medical herbs, honey, bamboo, cans, etc. From the tree, we get these all kinds of materials that helps us into various different sectors in our lives. The forest being the habitat of wild animals, we can see tigers, lions, cheetahs, wild buffaloes, elephant, deers, and peacocks in the forest of Karnataka. So these are few of the wild animals which are widely found and seen in the forest of North Karnataka or in the forest of Karnataka. These forests are also known as environment and are places for tourism. Like a lot of people go ahead and have a lot of safaris over there. People visit and see the animals, how they live in their natural habitat. So it is a very, like a very good place wherein you can increase the tourism of Karnataka. They help to control environmental pollution because there's a lot of greenery, a lot of oxygen is being generated. So the environment is also very clean and is not polluted in these areas. Sandalwood is a special tree grown in the forest of Karnataka. Karnataka forest is also very famous for sandalwood. Perfumes, objects with the perfumes, various kind of soaps, some of the medicines are also manufactured from this particular sandalwood. They are popular all over the world. The products of these sandalwoods are popular across the world and has not only supplied to other parts of the country but has also been exported. Like this gives an export business as well to Karnataka and generates a good amount of money towards the Indian government, and also towards the state economy. This is the reason Karnataka is known as the land of sandalwood, because of the plentiness and the abundancy wherein the sandalwoods are grown. It is also known, or Karnataka is also known as the land of sandalwood. Types of vegetation. That'll be our next point. Natural vegetation of Karnataka has been classified on the basis of rainfall, relief features, or maybe the landforms and types of soil, the various types of soil. They are evergreen forest, deciduous forest, mixed forest, grassland, and shrubs. So these are the four big categories in which the vegetation is being divided. Let us talk about the very first topic, which is evergreen forest. Area receiving rainfall which is more than 250 centimeter annually are being categorized in this kind of forest, which is evergreen forest. On account of the heavy rain and high temperature, the trees grow really tall and dense. Like the trees which are there that are tall and are dense, sometimes it could be that dense in many of the places wherein the sun rays to the down or to the land is very less. It reaches very less. The forest being dense, this, as I said, the sunlight does not reaches to the ground at all at many places, and in some places it reaches to a very less amount. Different types of trees like rosewood trees, kingo, teak, etc. are grown over there into these forests. all the base all the base of these trees are thick shrubs. Like at the base or the bottom there is a green carpet, or a green carpet of shrub that is being covering the land is grown. That's a normal thing that it grows. Different kinds of spices like cinnamon, cardamom, clove, and many medical herbs are grown in abundance in these kind of forests. This kind of forest can be seen as a part of Uttara Kannada, Dakshin Kannada, Shivamoga, Hassan, Chikmagalur, and various other places. Then comes the point which is known as deciduous forest. After winter, due to the lack of moisture in the soil, the trees sheds their leaves. Like in certain, like evergreen forest means throughout the year, the plants or the trees go ahead and bear leaves. But when it comes to the deciduous forest, in this kind of forest, in one part of the year, in one season of the year, these plants shed their leaves and then they regrow. And this is because of the lack of moisture. The leaves reappear during the spring season. These are called deciduous forest. This kind of forest can be seen in the area which receives a rainfall which ranges between 60 to 120 centimeters of rainfall annually. For example, Chikmagalur, Mysore, Chamarajnagar, eastern part of Hassan, Tumkur, etc. These are few of the areas and pretty more areas wherein these kind of forests are found. These kind of forests are pretty dense but not as dense as regard to the evergreen forest. Then let us see about the third kind of foresting, that is known as mixed forest. The growing of evergreen and deciduous trees together form this kind of forest. The area which has 120 to 150 centimeter annual rainfall, like the places in Udupi and some part of Karnataka, Uttar Kannada and Dakshin Kannada, and east part of Kudugu, Chikmagalur and Mysore, some districts are these places wherein you can find plants that or trees that are associated with the mixed forest, which is like some trees are evergreen trees and some trees are from the deciduous forest type. Teak, kino, sandal, jack, bamboo are grown in abundance. These are all very well and are very valuable as the point of the commerce. Like commercial point of view, these are revenue generating products that gives a lot of money to the state. Then comes the final part or the fourth section of the natural vegetation, which is the grassland and shrubs. Area receiving less than 60 centimeter annual rainfall have this kind of vegetation. Due to a very little rain and dry weather, very short grasses or shrubs are grown into this. For an example, you have bela, palm trees, and a lot of kind of grasses and shrubs that are grown. Occasionally, neem, people tree are grown over here. But this kind of foresting or this kind of vegetation is basically seen in Bidar, Richur, Kopil, Vijayapur, and other districts associated to this region. Now, deltas, beaches are in the coastal area. That is also into the peninsula type of vegetation. Peninsula type of the vegetation means the vegetation or the plants that are grown nearer to the coastal area and have an aerial roof and can grow into salty water. Means these are the types of plants or the vegetation that can even survive if the water is salty. They are called as mangrove forest. Distribution of such vegetation is very limited in the location of Karnataka. Area with more than 1400, which is 1400 meter above the sea level, has cool climate, and wherein you can go ahead and find these kind of forest, which is known as Chola forest. The deep valleys with steep slopes, like the valleys into the mountain, these kind of forests are available into that. So this was a brief about the natural vegetation. Now let us see the statistics on how and which all area does the forest cover. The recorded forest area in Karnataka state is 43.4 lakh square kilometers. This forms 22.6% of the total geographical location of Karnataka, and it occurs to be the 7th place in forest resource in the country. Now, Uttara Karnataka district has the maximum forest area. Next to that, there are a lot of locations which is associated with Chamarajnagar districts, Vijayapur district, which has the least, Vijayapur district that has the least forest area. So there are few districts that has a lot of greenery coverage, wherein there are few districts that has a very less forest coverage. Now let us talk about the animal resources. Karnataka has a variety of animal resources. The main reason for this is the abandoned forest land, because there is a lot of landforms or the forest available in various parts of Karnataka. We can see a variety of biodiversity into the creatures when it comes to animals. Recently, they have been declared as a World Heritage Area. There are a lot of places or a lot of spots in Karnataka which is associated and been taken care as World Historical areas. Nearly 25% of the animal population and 10% of the tiger population in the entire country are found in Karnataka. So that's the beauty of the Karnataka when it comes to the animal resource. In addition to this, there are other types of wild animals as well. Example, leopard, bison, deer, bear, etc. And a variety of snakes and colorful birds can also be seen in the forest of Karnataka. Means you'll be able to see a variety of snakes and a variety of beautiful birds, which is also a part of the forest of Karnataka. The central part of the Western Ghat is in Karnataka is called Malnad region. This region has biodiversity heritage. Means herein we'll be able to find a lot of and a mixture of animal species, plants, and a lot of biological creatures. The important forest area of Karnataka having wildlife are coastal region comprising of Uttara Karnataka and a lot of other regions as well, which is majorly associated into North Medan region. Now Karnataka has 5 national parks and 4 bird sanctuary and about 17 wildlife sanctuary which are associated and are taken care either by the state, private or by Indian government, ensuring that the great culture and the biodiversity which Karnataka inheritance is always being taken care. So that is all about the chapter 3rd, which gives you a brief about the various different aspects of Karnataka. Thank you.